All right, everybody. So moving right along, I think this is probably one of my favorite newer features to Navigate, and it's around the custom dashboards. Particularly, did I hear? Oh yeah. Okay. Okay, so other people's excitement as well. So wanted to really spend this time thinking through how the custom dashboards can be helpful in you all visualizing some of the data that you need, but also maybe assisting with some caseload management where it would be applicable for your different areas. So. Also, I'll plug this now. There's going to be a point where I'm going to need a lovely volunteer to allow me to show what dashboards look like from their point of view. So if you think you may want that, and if you want me to maybe build one dashboard for you, so be prepared to raise your hand when I get to that point. Okay. Yes. You get one custom tile. Okay. So the My Dashboard feature really started existing maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And so if you were to log into Navigate on the left-hand side, it looks like a little speedometer. So my hope coming out of the session is that one, you intentionally click on it if you have not, and two, you intentionally use it if you have not. The way the dashboard was originally designed was meant to be an alternative home base. So when we think about when you log into Navigate, it normally defaults to that the advisor homepage or shows like your assigned students, whatever may be, upcoming appointments. And that may be a useful dashboard, a useful first view that you want to go to. However, I want you to really start thinking about how could a dashboard be more helpful for me knowing what I need to be prioritizing. So there are 6 pre-built tiles, and these are the 6 default tiles that show up there. Candidly, these tiles are most useful if you have students assigned to you in some way, shape, or form. So if you are someone who's in more of like a director level capacity, or maybe not have assigned students, the default pre-built tiles are probably not going to be that useful to you, which is where these custom dashboard tiles that we rolled out I'm going to say maybe about a year ago will be more useful. It's a way for you to visualize any saved report that you have created in Navigate. So the 6 pre-built tiles are here. It'll show you your active appointment campaigns, active enrollment campaigns, appointment summaries pending, my assigned students activity feed, my enrolled students, and my students. The My Assigned Students activity feed is truly a feed of all the things that are happening to students that are assigned to you. So you can filter to see which of my students had a progress report submitted, which of my students had an alert raised, which of my students have been newly assigned to me, knowing that may be something that happens on like a rolling basis. My enrolled students allows you to look at the students who assigned to you and who's enrolled either in a current term or an upcoming term. So it's going to be helpful to just kind of gauge of my 100 students. I know 20 as of now are enrolled for the fall, 80 or not, things like that. And then my students is helpful for show any of your assigned students as well as any student lists that you have created. So maybe you have students that are assigned to you in a formal way, but there's other students that you have to keep track of for whatever reason. Being able to at least easily identify that is helpful. So these are the 6 pre-built tiles. And so maybe these 6 tiles will satisfy all of your needs. And you're like, Whitney, I don't need anything else. Not saying that's great. I'm not saying you can tune out for the rest of the presentation, but these are already pre-built for you. You don't have to do anything else. Now, if you're saying, okay, I wish I could do something else, like this gets me part of the way there, but I work with students that aren't assigned to me, or I want to look at which alert reasons my students have had created for them, or which of my students have had tutoring appointments. Maybe I oversee the tutoring center and I want to know per tutor, how many appointments do they have for the coming week, things like that, where you know the information exists in a report, but you aren't able to have it on a dashboard. That's where these custom tiles come into play. Custom dashboard tiles can be built from any saved V3 report. I specify V3 reports because the V3 reports are the newer version of reports that have been out for maybe about 2 years now. If anyone is using the older version of reports, start getting excited about V3 reports because they are officially, this is a spoiler alert for you, Carol, they are officially going to be deprecated at the end of the year. So if you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, I've only been using the version of reports that I showed you earlier today, great, ignore everything I just said. But if you know you've been using the same version of reports that y'all have had at Baylor for prior to 2020, you have to start playing with the new ones. Um, but you can create custom dashboard tiles from any saved V3 report. The exciting thing with them is that tiles can either be shown in either a tabular view, so think of just a regular table, or a chart view. So this is where we can introduce bar charts, pie charts. There's even like a nice little funnel chart that exists there. The tiles are automatically refreshed once per day, but you can also refresh them on demand. So if there's you want to keep like a rolling record of how like alerts are rolling in, you can refresh that on demand as well. So it can be really helpful there. Before we dive into just the functionality of how we create these tiles, I want us to like take a step back and start thinking about some of the pre-work that would be needed prior to you creating your own tile. And first thinking about strategizing, identifying your priorities as a team or as an individual around what you want to be monitoring as a caseload or what type of information you want to have more visibly and easily accessible to you. All I did so far is I just clicked on this little speedometer on the left-hand side. And what we're seeing here is the 6 default, and as I scroll, you will see the 6 default tiles that I mentioned. So the first is looking at your assigned students, and if you have the permission to see like their intervention level, so you can see that there. This is the My Assigned Students activity feed, where this is just giving you a running report of all the things that are happening with your students. It's going to show a lot. So I'm going to go over here to the little hamburger icon, and I can select the filter. So maybe I want to see all of my students who had a case opened, right? So I'm just going to go through and, ooh, no, I did not mean to do that. Here we go. All my students who had a case opened. I'm really struggling not having my mouse. Okay, none of your students had a case open. If there's no data display, you get this cute little icon. But okay, it'll show you just a running list of students who are assigned to you that had appointments that happened, etc. Scroll down. If you have any appointment summaries pending, this will allow you to go in and see I had recent appointments, haven't filled out the appointment summary, I can see it there. If you had active appointment campaigns, it would show there. If you had upcoming appointments, it'll show there. And then this will show students that are currently assigned to you what their enrollment looks like for future terms. So it'll show not enrolled versus enrolled. And I can always come in here. And as Carol mentioned, you'll have all the terms in here, all the terms. But I'll put fall 2025. And so I did was change the filter. So 6 of your 7 students are enrolled for the fall term. So you can go through and look at those things. These are the pre-built tiles. And some of these you may say, this is great, I never need anything else. So you can click on any of the reports and you'll be able to see like who are the students that meet that criteria. Similar to up here as well. Also, in the My Students, you can select your audience. So if you had any saved student list, you could pick them there. And the view is, this one was defaulting to predictive intervention level. Maybe I want to see who had appointments in the last 90 days, right? It's going to be specifically who had appointments with you, not any appointment. But that's how you can see that there. So now going back to the custom lists, or excuse me, the custom dashboard tiles. I mentioned that they are built off of any saved V3 report. So you mentioned that you had some like basic ideas. What was one of them? We'll have to start with the most complicated thing. So I'm gonna use the students enrollment report. So that's just the one I want to use. And we're just building out tags, filters. So actually, we are going to, I forget, we don't have the AI turned on for them. I was gonna get really creative and tie it to other things, but so the category was, I think you said SNS. Is it this? Okay. And enrollment term is fall 2025. There. So I run the report. Okay, so it gives me all the students that I have the report. Just so you know, it's pulling each enrollment record for the students. So if I'm enrolled in 5 classes, It's enrollment records. But maybe we just want to know the list of individual students, right? So we have the report. First thing I'm going to do, because I have this, I'm going to save as fall 2025 SNS, right? Just saving the report. From what I just did, they're saving there. If I was fine with how this shows up here, just like the tabular view, not filtered, not making it look prettier, I could go in and create a custom tile after that, off of that. But I want this to be a little bit more useful, right? Maybe I just want to show total number of students, or I want to show students broken down by major, right? Let's get creative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to load grid into a pivot table. It looks like a little graph, and it has a magnifying glass. This is a way for you to do a little bit more analysis on any of the reports that you run. So if you are someone who likes graphics, who likes pivot tables, etc., this can be helpful to help you narrow in. So I'm just going to keep it simple here. And I just wanted to show, I could have it just show this distinct count of students, right? So 1,529 students, which is a lot smaller than that number. It was probably like 5 times that since I'm there. But maybe I want this to be a graphic. So I'm going to do a bar chart. And this is where I can start getting customizable. Maybe I want to see it by major. Right. Yeah. And sometimes as you do things, you're like, okay, that's not the prettiest. There's a million majors. Let's see where some other things we can maybe plus. Good one. It's a lot prettier, or at least a lot simpler. So I can leave it as a bar chart. Maybe I want to do some, we could do that. Let's see what a pie chart looks like. That looks pretty nice for right now. So I picked the visual that I want. Go back here. After I've picked the graph that I want it to be, I said to come up here and I'm just going to click update the report. That last step of updating it is what's important for the graphic that I chose to be able to populate. So we've got our new tile that we want to go in. I'm going to go back to the dashboard. And I'm going to go back here to settings and add a tile. I can pick a tile name. So what did I call this? Fall 2025 SNS. And I can go in and click a saved report. So this is why that first step of saving the report is important. Click that and then select view. I can either show the table view, which is just going to be kind of a regular table, or the chart summary, which is what I just created. And I'll click save tile. And you'll get this little notification saying widget successfully created, and it always adds it to the very bottom. And while it's adding, do a little drum. It added in the graphic that I wanted. Now, for each of these widgets, you can expand it to make it look bigger. And it's showing me kind of the report. If I click on the link here, it's going to take me back to the report that I just saved. Maybe I come in, every time I bring up this page, it's going to refresh. But for whatever reason it didn't, I can always just refresh it in the moment to get me the updated piece of information. For categories, because that only updates nightly, you don't really need to refresh that in the moment. But for something like alerts, where that could be updating, people can submit alerts anytime, that'd be helpful there. So you can see that information there. The last thing I'll mention before maybe I'll take some other ideas for other folks is that there can be some tiles on here where you may say, none of these are applicable to me, or maybe that SNS tile I created, it's only applicable in certain times of the year. I don't need to always see it. When you go to modify tile settings, you can turn on or turn off things so it doesn't show up. So maybe, you never run appointment campaigns. You don't want to take up valuable dashboard space within the appointment campaigns tile. You would just unclick it. Same for any of them. So that is the quick and dirty way of how to create a dashboard tile. I'd love to maybe spend some time for some of those other ideas folks shared of going through how to create tile for that. Sorry in advance, you may end up with some tiles on here that are not applicable to you, but we can delete them at the end.